On my YouTube channel. So today I want to discuss with you how we could actually get an offer from Salesforce and what's required to do that. So I could tell you about this because I recently got an offer from Salesforce for the senior member of the technical staff FTE position. So let's get started. So first of all, I will open my notes related to the hiring process and let us see, like what is included into it. So first of all, position, as I just already shared, that I applied, it was senior member of the technical staff, and that position was FTE, so that means that full-time employee. So first step of the journey is in the following. So we need to apply actually for that specific, let's say, role, right? And where we could actually find what kind of open positions at this moment Salesforce has and in which locations. So for us, in order to be able to do so, we are just going to the Salesforce career site. So here is the URL where you could find it, and here we are looking for different kind of locations. Like for example, we are looking for Dublin or for any other location, and we are just applying our search. So right after this, what we are getting is we are getting different kind of, let's say, roles open in the specific location. And if you could see that, for example, in some specific location you could apply, and for example, for the some specific role that you have appropriate skills, then you could apply. So once you actually got the list, what you could do is you could actually click on the job, right, and get the description of what is required and what knowledges is required for you in order to be able to apply. So here you could see some basic job category, job details, like information about Salesforce, what you will be doing, what we are looking for, right? And be very accurate, let's say, with that specific section, right? Because it's in general describe what exactly that, let's say, specific team who is hiring for that specific position is looking for, right? So for example, here you could see like what exactly skills is required for you, like to have, right? And that's a chapter as well. So that means that, like from there you could understand what exactly items you need to know for you in order to be able to apply for that position. So that means that, for example, if you will apply for this one, so you will expect that there will be questions related to Postgre, MySQL, and others. For example, items related to Ubuntu, and like other stuff, like for example Oracle, SQL, Android, iOS, and other stuff. So all this information is actually shared in the actual description, right? So you could apply here and see, like what's the location, what is, like that position type. So other possible ways where you could actually find open roles, right, or open positions for the Salesforce, it's you could actually take a look into the LinkedIn, right? So here's a separate tab for the jobs, and you could observe here, or you could also, if you have in your connection some, for example, guys who is working for Salesforce, they let's say sometimes posting posts where you could see what kind of, let's say, persons they are required to have in their teams, and you definitely could apply as via that manner as well. So once I just apply it, so there was the next step, it was initial call, right? So what was asked on that initial call? So first of all, like it was a very gentle call, and like the person who called me asked me, like about myself, about my experience, where I am located, let's say why I'm looking for new opportunities, and it was required for me to share my basic experience, like and did actually describe myself, right? So there are two items which is, like need to be checked by that person. First of all, to be able to understand if you are, let's say, potentially valid candidate, right? Or if you have all required, let's say, basic experience. So on that call, I remember that the person also asked me, like about some basics which were mentioned in the actual position description. And let's say once that confirmation was, let's say, done, so after that, there was a new step, right? And that new step was related for me to select a slot for the technical interview. So once I, let's say, selected the time slots for the technical interview round was scheduled, and that first round of the interview, it was a technical interview. So there was questions related to different kind of stuff: platform cache integration, CI/CD basics, performance issues, security, and like all the other stuff, to be able to understand, let's say, what is your experience in that area, right? How much, let's say, experience do you have? Is your technical person or not? Let's say, to be able to understand your level, right? And let's say level of your skills. So once you are passing one of the rounds of interview, so after that, let's say, recruiter comes back to you, right, and asking you to select, let's say, next slots for the next round of interview. So next round of interview, it was a design interview, and for me it was required to do the following. Let's say there was a task, and like it was described what exactly system we need to build, and it was required on that call, like to explain what is data models should be used for that specific, let's say, system. What is, like tech and business layers we need to include into it. What is, like basic UI components that we expect that we will use, and how it's related, like to that situation. If you're using integration, what kind of approaches you will use for that specific, like communication between UI and between your, let's say, integration with external system. So it was also, like required for you to show deep understanding of the system architecture, right, and deep understanding of the key design pattern and principles, and let's say to also share your experience to work with large data volume, right? So as a part of this round, let's say what is required, or let's say what is my advice, right? It's when you're thinking about some design, right? So you could always, let's say, not just silently, let's say, drive the diagram, right? But you could also for example, pronounce what exactly ideas you have in your head. Like, for example, we are applying that specific integration approach because, like we don't want our user to, like wait on the UI and not be able to interact with that and all this stuff, right? So you need to explain why you're choosing some specific decisions, right? And why you are not choosing others. So once that round is done, so next round for me was, like again, once I selected the new slots, it was interview which was, let's say, like an architectural call, when it was required for me to show and describe, like the way how I could set up CI/CD, right? Because it was one of the items which was required for that specific position, to share my experience about it, the ways how we could actually configure it, right? What kind of limitations, how we could handle webhooks, how we could apply security gates, how we could apply quality gates, how we could write different kind of reports, what is, like our fallout process, and all this stuff, right? So also there were questions related to the people management, let's say, what you will do if you have the following situation, when you have, for example, product owners, stakeholders, right? And you have a conflicts here, like conflicts of interest, how you will manage that, how you will, let's say, manage risks, how you will manage situation when you have big tech debts, right? How you will, let's say, use the process that let's say you have, right? And how you will use resources that you have in order to be able to, like resolve all of these issues. So after that, there was, like situation when it was required for you to describe what is, like typical situation, right? And provide your solution, let's say, how you will deal with that specific situation. And then you need to describe what exactly, let's say, steps you will perform in order to be able to resolve it, right? So it was, let's say, interview in order to be able to see if you could actually lead the team, and if you could manage, like expectations and all this stuff, and how you could actually do it. So next round, it was, let's say, interview with the manager, right? When it was required for you to answer on the questions, right, which are related to the, let's say, the actual work that is required for you to do in the future. Also, it was, let's say, related to actual, let's say, one-to-one conversation between you and between this hiring manager, right, who would like to see you as a part of that specific team, right, for him to be able to understand that, like you will be, let's say, good person for the team, right? For you to be able to see, like an answer, or sorry, and ask required questions, right? So for you and for the hiring manager to be able to align, right, and see that you are actually, like suitable for that specific team, even if you already prove it, that like you have enough technical background. So after that period, right, so it was, let's say, about 2 months period to complete all this round of interviews. And as you could see, there was 4 rounds of interview, and there was one, let's say, initial call. So after that, what is happening, right, it's you are getting an offer. So when you are getting an offer, so what is described here? So you are getting a salary, and you are getting information about your year bonus, and also it's include information about company benefits. So where actually you could upfront take a look for the company benefits, like for you to be able to understand what is, like Salesforce related benefits. Of course, we have different kind of services, like for example Glassdoor, or for example Levels, but Salesforce, let's say, provide their own resource where you could actually check what kind of, let's say, benefits you could expect if you're applying for the specific locations. Like, for example, in my case, it might be, let's say, options that, for example, a new hire, right? And then you're specifying this specific location. So it could be any location. Let us, for example, specify Ireland. And let us go here. And as you can see here at the top, we have different kind of chapters, right? So those different kind of chapters I actually describe what kind of, let's say, bonuses that company provides for that specific location. And if you want, you could also download, let's say, benefits summary, right? So once you download, let's say, this brochure, so then you could actually see summarized information about what kind of bonuses, let's say, that specific company actually provide, like in that specific location. So here you could see that Salesforce actually provide medical care, life insurance, retirement saving, time off, employee assessment program, financial well-being, and more ways to live well, right? So there are a lot of different kind of, let's say, items which are actually included, and that document, let's say, explain in details what kind of benefits actually you could get if you will pass your, let's say, technical interviews and all these interview layers in order to be able to get the offer from Salesforce. So what is else available here? It's you could take a look for the videos, and in the video you could see like what is at this moment employee stock purchase plan, right? So how it's work, how company, let's say, provided. So all this information could be actually found here in that article, and also Salesforce separately share it as a part of the email. And like if you would like to take a look for the specific bonuses or items related to this benefits program, you could actually find them here, right? In, for example, what is this like that option, and what is actually include, right? What is this for example, parental perks, and like all others. So all that information is actually publicly available, right? And you could go and take a look into this site and see what kind of, let's say, bonuses you could potentially get in different kind of locations. So one more interesting information about the bonuses, that usually they need to be selected at the end of the current year for you in order to be able to get them for the next year. Like, for example, you're selecting your basic bonuses. Some of them, like I just provided always, some of them you could, like apply in addition. And then, those list of bonuses will work for you for the next year. Let's say what else, right? So some offers, when you will get it, or for example, some jobs might require for you to go from one location to another. So let's imagine that you are located in Poland, and for example, you're going to, I don't know, like Italy or France or Germany or some another place, right, where the Salesforce office is located, and you need to have your visa. So it's possible to, let's say, request that visa support, and Salesforce will be able to help with that, right? So it's again, like based on your conversation with the hiring manager and recruiter, and so in general that option is possible. So what, let's say, next step and what you need to check. So once you got offer from Salesforce, right, of course you need to investigate local market. So once you will investigate local market, let's say where that office is located, if especially it's required for you, like to work, let's say, fully in the office, or for example in the hybrid manner, right, you need to understand, let's say, where you need to rent a flat, what is the cost of that flat, let's say schools for your children, food cost, right, ticket cost, because if it will be different location, you need to understand, let's say, how that, let's say, new salary will be, let's say, for you, right, how it will work for you in that new location, right, and you need to calculate it based on, let's say, your zone of comfort or wherever. And let's say the actual timeline, right, that took for me, for example, to get offer from the Salesforce, it was about 2 months. So 2 months is, like in my specific case, right, I think that there might be sometimes situations when there will be hot vacancy, right, and sometimes it could be faster, but in my situation there was, like some delay between a different round of interviews, and because some of them were, like provided via different offices. Like, for example, tech interview might be from one office, design interview from another office, then, like architectural interview from also, it might be from another office or from another, let's say, team or wherever. And then, like manager interview, it's also could be, like in another time zone or location, right? As you could see, all these let's say rounds could be with persons from different locations, from different time zones, right? And that's why you need to find appropriate time slots. But Salesforce provide you, let's say, a good option when you're selecting your time slots, right, to be able to actually find out those slots for interview. So at this moment, I think that's all in terms of the basics related to possibility for you to apply and get offer from Salesforce. So thank you very much, guys, for your attention, and take care.